All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful psychological concept called shadow work. It's this idea that can seriously help you uncover hidden talents, build more confidence, and honestly, find a much deeper sense of purpose. So let's get into it.
Okay, so let me ask you something. You ever meet someone and just instantly dislike them? Like an intense, almost irrational feeling? Or maybe there's someone whose behavior just drives you completely up the wall. Well, according to the legendary psychologist Carl Jung, that powerful emotional reaction, it's not random at all. It's actually a clue, a message from a hidden part of your own mind.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. We'll kick things off by defining what the shadow even is, and then explore Jung's model of the mind to see where it fits. After that, we'll get practical with a framework of 4 energy archetypes, learn the #1 trick to spotting your own shadow, and finally, discover how to find the incredible potential, the gold that's hidden in there.
All right, so let's get right into it. What is the shadow? Well, at its core, it's pretty simple. It represents all the parts of ourselves that we've pushed away, whether we realize it or not.
Okay, so picture this. Your conscious mind, your ego, your sense of you. It's kind of like a bouncer at a super exclusive club. It's got a very strict guest list for what's acceptable. And the shadow? Well, that's everything that gets rejected at the velvet rope. All the traits, the feelings, the impulses that our conscious self decides are bad or weak or inferior. It all gets shoved down into the unconscious.
Now, this is super important because a lot of people get this wrong. The shadow isn't this big, evil monster. It's actually neutral. Sure, it's where we stuff things like anger or jealousy, but it also holds our repressed creativity, our hidden talents, and all this untapped potential. The very things that could make our lives way more richer and more exciting.
To really get a grip on this, we need to look at the blueprint, right? So let's dive into Carl Jung's map of the mind and see how this tug of war between our conscious and unconscious selves actually works.
So think of your mind as having these 2 main layers. Your conscious attitude is like your personal operating system. It's your beliefs, your values. Its main job is to constantly filter reality, selecting, directing, and excluding stuff. And the unconscious, that's where the shadow hangs out. It's basically the giant storage closet for everything that doesn't quite fit with the person you think you are. Raw emotions, forgotten stuff, and hidden skills. Now, all these parts of you that get kicked out, they don't just vanish into thin air. Nope. They actually clump together around certain themes, and they form what Jung called complexes. You can think of them like these little sub-personalities, or even better, the puppet masters pulling the strings from behind the curtain, driving all our weird reactions, our emotional triggers, and our self-sabotaging habits. And if you want a perfect example of this, just think about the Hulk. You've got Bruce Banner, right? His whole conscious personality is timid, he avoids conflict, and he shoves all his aggression way, way down. But that energy has to go somewhere, doesn't it? It builds and builds until it forms this powerful, angry, totally separate complex, the Hulk, who just erupts whenever Banner loses conscious control. Okay, so how do we start to organize all this stuff that's hiding in our shadow? Well, there's a really useful framework for this, the 4 energy archetypes. It's a great way to start making sense of it all. This is such a powerful toolkit. The idea is that we all have these 4 core energies. You've got the sovereign, that's your inner leader, your vision, and the key to unlocking it is self-esteem. Then there's the warrior, which is all about action and setting boundaries, and you access that through healthy anger. The magician gives you perspective and helps you see new options, and that's often found by looking at your fear. And finally, the lover. Your ability to connect is accessed through grief. Each of these so-called gateway emotions, they're not bad things to be avoided. They're literally the keys that can unlock these incredible parts of who you are. All right, so this is all great in theory, but how do you actually spot your own shadow in the wild? Well, we're going to get super practical now. And the key, the absolute key, is understanding something called projection. Projection is basically how our mind lets us see what's in our unconscious. It's this wild process where we take our own traits, especially the stuff we can't stand about ourselves, and we see them in other people instead. Remember that person you instantly disliked? Yeah, that is projection in action. You're seeing a piece of your own shadow right there in front of you. So how do you know you're doing it? What are the red flags? Well, you might see someone as either a total hero or a complete villain. There's no in between. Or you might slap a single label on them, like, oh, he's such a narcissist. Putting someone on a pedestal is a huge one.
or if you feel like you have to change who you are when you're around them. All of these are signs that you're probably not seeing the real person, but a reflection from your own unconscious.
Okay, I want you to try something. It's a really simple but powerful exercise you can do right now. Step 1, picture that person who just gets under your skin. Got 'em? Good. Step 2, get a piece of paper and list the specific things that irritate you about them. Be brutally honest. Okay, now for step 3, the hard part. Look at that list and ask yourself, where in my life do I do these exact same things, even just a tiny bit? Or which of these traits do I absolutely forbid myself from ever expressing? That list, that's your first direct message from your shadow.
And all of this leads us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it's the most exciting part. Because this isn't about digging up dirt just for the sake of it. It's about finding buried treasure. It's about reclaiming your full potential. You know how projection works for the bad stuff? Well, guess what? It works for the good stuff too. And this is what's called the golden shadow. It's all the amazing, valuable qualities that we've pushed away. Maybe because someone told us it was arrogant or silly or just not for us. That leader you really admire? That could be your own sovereign energy. That friend whose courage blows you away? Maybe that's your hidden warrior. That person you put on a pedestal? There's a really good chance you're just seeing your own hidden potential reflected back at you. But here's the thing. Just knowing this stuff isn't enough. Not even close. The real change, the integration, comes from action. It means turning that aha moment into what Jungians call an ethical obligation. So if you realize you've disowned your creative side, you now have an obligation to go create something. If you see you've repressed your assertiveness, you have an obligation to start practicing setting boundaries. That's how this stuff stops being theoretical and starts changing your life. And this really brings it all home with this one idea. The problem isn't the shadow itself. The problem is our relationship to it. When you see it as an enemy, you're just fighting yourself. But when you learn to see it as a source of fuel, of untapped energy, man, it becomes your greatest ally on the path to becoming a more whole person. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What part of you have you pushed into the darkness? What incredible talent, what hidden strength, what piece of gold is just waiting for you to go and claim it? The journey isn't always easy, for sure, but the reward is nothing less than your whole self.